The BMW E30 M3 is a legend among car enthusiasts. It is the car that defined what the M badge could stand for, the car that dominated touring car racing, and the car that many of us dreamed of owning, even though BMW didn't actually expect the car to sell. But what makes the E30 M3 so special? Today we're going to try to find out by taking it around the test lap at the Tokyo Expressway, as well as comparing it with the ultra-high revving Suzuki V8 Engine Swap M3 version. The origin of the BMW M3 can be traced back to 1985, when BMW's motorsport division decided to create a high-performance version of the BMW 3 Series. The BMW M3 was intended to be a homologation special to compete in the DTM and Group A touring car racing, which required matching road legal units to be produced by the manufacturer. The first generation M3, known as the E30 M3, was unveiled at the Frankfurt Motor Show in 1985 and began production in March 1986. It was available in a coupe body style initially, but a convertible was later added to the lineup. It was based on the regular E30 3 Series, but with significant modifications to the body, engine, suspension, brakes, and transmission. The E30 M3 had a wider track, flared wheel arches, a rear spoiler, and while it retained the 3 Series distinctive boxy shape, it was both lighter and more aerodynamic than the base 3 Series. It also had a 2.3-liter 4-cylinder engine, codenamed the S14, that produced 195 horsepower and 170 foot-pounds of torque. The engine was derived from the M88 6-cylinder engine that powered the M1 supercar and featured 4 valves per cylinder, individual throttle bodies, and a high revving nature. This gave the M3 the ability to sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 6.7 seconds and reach a top speed of 146 miles per hour. It also had a 5-speed manual gearbox, a limited slip differential, and sporty chassis that made it agile and responsive. The E30 M3 was a driver's car, pure and simple. But the M3 wasn't meant to be a consumer car. It was built so BMW could go racing, and they did with success. The M3 ended up winning 6 DTM titles, 2 European Touring Car Championships, 2 World Touring Car Championships, and countless other races and rallies. It also spawned several special edition M3s such as the Evolution 1, Evolution 2, Sport Evolution, and even inspired rivals such as the Mercedes 190e Evolution. The special edition M3s had more power, less weight, and improved aerodynamics. The most extreme version was the Sport Evolution, which is also available in Gran Turismo 7, but does not allow engine swaps at this time. It had a 2.5-liter engine with 238 horsepower, a larger front splitter, taller rear wing, adjustable suspension, and only 600 were made, so they are highly sought after by collectors today. BMW built this car out of obligation to qualify for races and did not actually expect it to sell. The E30 M3 was much more of a harsh track weapon than the generations that followed it, but thankfully the unexpected high demand helped cement the M3 in the public's mind and paved the way for its more refined successors to remain available to the public today. Let's go ahead and take this to the Tokyo Expressway and see how it runs, and then we'll follow it up with the engine swap version as well to see how it compares. The BMW E30 M3 instantly shows off that its racing reputation is well deserved the moment you get it out on the track, even when using the factory S14 inline 4. Fully spec'd out, it's working with 347 horsepower and 217 foot-pounds of torque. Although this isn't a crazy high number when compared to some of the other vehicles in the game, the E30 is only tossing around a car that weighs 2,167 pounds after weight reduction. The chassis is also very responsive, giving the car excellent agility. The S14 is also a naturally aspirated engine even when fully built, so it has great throttle response. The gearing will need to be dialed back after installing the Ultimate mods because of the motor revving so much higher. Fuel usage was pretty decent as well, with us getting around 6 laps as tested, and the tires were treated pretty well also. The fronts wore at about 5%, and we lost around 15% to the rear. This is something we typically see on lighter weight vehicles, and the M3 also has pretty decent aerodynamic options to keep the car planted and keep the car from slipping and adding excessive wear to those tires. Fully spec'd out with the racing soft tires, the performance points only come in at 691, so that makes this car very capable at Le Mans with all tire options available to the driver. There are of course quicker cars and better options to choose from if you're looking for performance only at Le Mans, but this is a great car to select if you're looking for a little bit of nostalgia. The E30 is also a great choice if you're into drifting. Although I'm not any good at drifting, I do know enough to respect the predictability of the chassis that this thing offers, and that's part of the reason that you see BMW M3s in the drifting scene today in real life. The car ended up a little further down on the list than I expected, but it's still great to drive, and that's part of the reason that you want to play the game. We ended up crossing the line at 2 minutes, 8 seconds, .127, which puts it behind the Willys with the Hellcat swap and just in front of the Ford Sierra RS 500. Let's go ahead and take a look at the engine swap variant and see how that handles. Swapping in the Suzuki VGT V8 motor into this classic M3 really wakes the car up. The torque is very noticeable right out of the gate and remains an advantage even when adjusting the car to qualify for performance point races. In this form, the car's performance jumps 86 points, bringing it just under 778 performance points. The horsepower and torque numbers more than double, bringing the car to 759 horsepower and 447 foot-pounds of torque. This power is now coming through a turbocharged engine, and you'll need to end up shifting by ear because the motor has a 12,000 RPM redline. If shifting properly in VR, the tach will stay pinned at 8,000 RPM the entire time. The car still feels light and nimble even though it picks up 163 pounds, bringing the overall weight to just over 2,300 pounds. The fuel economy at full send doesn't really change between the two cars, with both of them getting around 6 laps, but the advantage ends up going to the swapped M3 when it's detuned to qualify for 700 series races. As you would expect, the swapped car is much more destructive to the tires, with the rears taking the brunt of the abuse. The rear tires on our test wore at around 25%, with the fronts taking around 10% damage. Again, trying to get this car to qualify, you'll likely be running hard compound tires anyway, so it doesn't really hurt the car's competitive advantage. Although this car will easily break 200 miles per hour or 320 kilometers per hour, you'll want to set the transmission's gearing around 250 kilometers per hour because it's expecting the engine to redline at 7,000 RPM instead of 12,000. We ended up crossing the line at 1 minute 55 seconds .704. That puts it just behind the Lexus LFA and just in front of the Countach 25th anniversary from 1988. This car is a lot of fun and a great addition to anyone's collection. I'm grateful for all of you guys for watching, and please like and subscribe so you don't miss any future content. Thank you and have a great day.